What is going on, everybody? What is going on, the Catch fam? My name is Jon Dawson, and in today's video, we are hopping into another 2022 fantasy football mock draft. Got a request for a 8-team through the ESPN platform at the 7th overall selection. So that is what we are rolling with in today's video. If you do enjoy the content for today, be sure to hit that like button down below. Hit that subscribe button if you are new to the channel. Let me know in the comment section down below if you guys have any mock draft requests, as well as any questions, comments, concerns pertaining to the 2022 fantasy football season. Without further ado, let's hop into another 2022 fantasy football mock draft. All right, so sitting at 1.7 overall, I'm really just going to go for either the best available running back or receiver, and then the second round do the vice versa, or I do the opposite. I'm going to go with the best available running back or receiver in the second round. And then after that, I really do encourage in 8-team leagues to go out and take some big positional advantage at the tight end position. Come out of your draft with either a Travis Kelce or a Mark Andrews and get that positional advantage at the tight end position. So we'll just see who's available at 1.7 and 2.2, and we'll roll from there and then see what tight end we can land in the third round. All right, so looking at the first round here, we got CMC, JT, Eckler, Cooper Kupp, JJ, and Jamar Chase, of really solid first 6 players off of the board. So you can look at this in a couple different ways, right? Derrick Henry sitting here, Najee Harris sitting here, Kamara, Cook, and Davante Adams, as well as Deebo Samuel. So I think we'll just go ahead and we'll take Derrick Henry off the board with the 7th overall selection. I do like a lot of the other running backs available there, and I do like most of the receivers, but I'm pretty confident that one of those receivers will fall into the second round. If we did go ahead and snag a receiver there, then obviously we're still going to have a lot of good value at the running back position, but we'll take Derrick Henry off of the board. Najee Harris is off the board to finish the first round, and in the second round, we'll go with Dalvin Cook as the first selected player. So there's a lot of intriguing. I mean, Kamara, Adams, Deebo, Diggs, Mixon, Swift, CeeDee Lamb. There's all kinds of great talent sitting here. Let's go with Davante Adams as our wide receiver 1 and move right along. I think Adams is going to have a phenomenal year, man. All right, Kamara's off the board. So looking ahead to pick 23 as DeAndre Swift and Deebo Samuel are selected. We want to land one of these 2 tight ends, but they have moved up, it looks like, in ESPN's ranking. So through these mock drafts, it may be a little bit more difficult. Don't be afraid in the second round to go ahead and reach for a Mark Andrews or a Travis Kelce. If we do miss out on one of the 2 tight ends, and I think we'll survive, we can go ahead and just continue to stack up at running back and receiver and still land some mid to late round value at tight end. But I really just feel so much more confident in 8-team leagues coming out of them with a strong tight end 1. All right, Stephon Diggs is gone, Joe Mixon's gone, Tyreek Hill is gone. Into the third round we are. CeeDee Lamb is off of the board, so we'll just kind of sit back and see what happens here. Leonard Fournette is gone. I don't know. It's getting a little scary here. I don't know if we're going to come out. There goes Travis Kelce and Mark Andrews back to back. So they are off the board for us, which is okay. But I'm just telling you guys, if you are in position to draft either one of those players, especially as your third player in an 8-team league, I really highly encourage you to do so. We have a number of mock drafts on the channel where we come out with an RB1, a wide receiver 1, and Mark Andrews or Travis Kelce in a lot of our 8-team mocks. So make sure you guys go check some of those out as well. All right, Javonte Williams gone, James Conner gone. So there's a lot of direction you could go here. There are a lot of really good players sitting here. Let's go with Mike Evans. Keenan Allen would be a beautiful selection there as well. And I like Aaron Jones, but I don't mind going for AJ Dillon a little bit later down the stretch. And I like the idea of taking Saquon Barkley here, and I had a good feeling that he would be available on the board. So I'll take some advantage with Mike Evans at 23. Aaron Jones goes at 24. Then going into the 4th round, Keenan Allen is off the board. Saquon Barkley and T. Higgins are all selected. So I like that selection of Barkley as an RB2, kind of bringing that nice upside boomer bust potential to the running back room on a weekly basis. All right, Nick Chubb's gone. Cam Akers is off the board as we continue to move through the 4th round. So Michael Pittman, DJ Moore off the board, and one more selection here in the 4th round before we move into the 5th round. So now looking at the tight end position, right? I'm going to let Kyle Pitts and probably Darren Waller go, but I like the idea of getting a George Kittle or a Dalton Schultz. I don't think you have to pay too high of a price for them. And speaking of positional advantage, at this point, we might want to start to look at the quarterback position. I don't mind going out early and getting a quarterback in the 18 league, getting a Josh Allen, getting a Mahomes or Justin Herbert, and trying to gain positional advantage at quarterback. But I also think you can hold off a little bit, continue to stack up at running back and receiver, and still land a Lamar Jackson, a Kyler Murray, a Jalen Hurts, even a Joe Burrow or a Trey Lance later on, whether you want to get Trey Lance with a second quarterback or not. So I think there's a lot of value down the stretch in these 8-team drafts at the quarterback position. All right, DJ Moore's gone. Scary Terry's gone into the 5th round. We've got Kyle Pitts, Brandon Cooks, J.K. Dobbins, and A.J. Brown gone. So it depends on who's available here at 39. I really like Mike Williams sitting right there. Then I really like Travis Etienne as well. So Mahomes is gone, the first quarterback off the board, and Deontay Johnson is gone. So give me Mike Williams. I love Jalen Waddle as well. I think he's going to have a great season, but I'll take Mike Williams for a really solid flex. I mean, he's just such a great flex player. He can bring you that high ceiling on a weekly basis. And at 42, I think I'm going to stick with running back. And there's certainly an argument for Montgomery and Ezekiel Elliott here. I think Zeke is being highly, highly overlooked in fantasy this year. And I like Breece Hall sitting here as well. But I just like the idea of going out and getting Travis Etienne here, who brings a nice half PPR or full PPR value to the squad. But don't get me wrong, Zeke is a very good player sitting on the board at this point as well. So I don't have an issue taking Zeke. I don't have an issue taking Travis Etienne. It's really your call. For the sake of today's draft, we'll go with some fun. We'll go with Etienne. I like the idea of Barkley and Etienne on the same team. All right. So the 5th round is wrapped up. Into the 6th round, we are a couple selections already, and we've got Josh Allen off the board. If somehow Justin Herbert falls to 55, I'll take Herbert all day long, but if he does not, then we'll just go ahead and start to identify a quarterback, a Jalen Hurts, and a Kyler Murray quarterback that we can take a little bit later on. And I really don't mind I really like in these 8-team drafts, if you can go out and get a Joe Burrow and then wait another round and go out and get a Trey Lance, just a really nice quarterback stacking overall. So we'll see what happens here. I'm feeling pretty confident. I think we have 3 great running backs and 3 great receivers on this team. And really in these 8-team formats, right, you're just trying to stack up the best positional advantage you can on a weekly basis, because you're going to be going up against absolutely stacked teams on a weekly basis. So I like the idea of having a ton of stud running backs and receivers to help aid your team in doing so. But I also really like a valuable tight end. So we'll see what tight end we come out with in today's mock. All right, so 6th round is wrapping up here. Jerry Jeudy, Zeke, and Lamar Jackson, as well as Breece Hall and Hollywood Brown, are all gone after that selection of Josh Allen. Into the 7th round, we got Miles Sanders and Cortland Sutton off of the board. There goes Herbert. I was about to say, we're getting kind of close to potentially snagging Herbert up. And I'm looking at the board as George Kittle is selected and Darren Waller. Dalton Schultz is very intriguing here, but I'm a big fan of Dallas Goedert this year. And there are just some really good players sitting here. Amon-Ra St. Brown, Gabe Davis, Darnell Mooney, Chris Godwin. I mean, there are some really good names hanging around. So let's go with the fun pick. Let's St. Brown or Gabe Davis. A nice upside pick. Let's go with Gabe Davis for the sake of today's mock draft. I love Amon-Ra St. Brown sitting there as well, as Kyler Murray's off the board. One more selection till we pick again. And I think the best route to take, once again, is just getting, especially as Dalton Schultz is gone, is going with another running back. Let's take Josh Jacobs. I'm not too concerned about Josh Jacobs as an RB4 on my roster. Okay, at this point, moving into the 9th round, I think the best route to take now is just to get the best available quarterback and tight end, and then flip back to the running back and receivers positions. We have a really, really strong core roster with a lot of depth here, and I would be really, really happy if I was going into a season with this core roster. Okay, Derrick Henry, Saquon Barkley, Etienne, and Jacobs at running back. Adams, Evans, Mike Williams, and Gabe Davis at receiver. A lot of good players on this roster so far. All right, Jalen Hurts is gone. I don't have a problem necessarily reaching for Burrow at his ADP, because in our subscriber mock drafts, he's not lasting this long whatsoever. So I'll be happy to take Burrow at 71 or 74. Looking at the tight end position, I mean, we're kind of reaching against ADP as well. We could continue to stack up and take a risk here and see what happens, or we could just go out and get our guys. So you can really look at it either way, right? If we go out and get a running back here, in my opinion, the best available running backs are Dameon Pierce and AJ Dillon. So I don't mind going out and getting one of them and just continuing our method here of receiver and running back. I would love Hunter Renfrow right here, but we already have Devontae Adams. I don't want to stack up too much into that offense. I like Elijah Moore, and I like a Devonta Smith sitting here as well. Let's go Devonta Smith, and then let's go with the running back. And let's take a risk and see what quarterback and tight end we can land in the 11th and the 12th round. And I think if we come out with a good enough looking roster, it's really going to show that you can really take a breather if you miss out on those top tight ends. You can really take a breather at quarterback and tight end and still come out with a pretty solid roster. We'll see what happens. All right, Dameon Pierce or AJ Dillon, there's an argument for either. I'll go Pierce here. I love both those running backs, don't get me wrong. I think AJ Dillon, you can certainly argue, is the better pick there, but we'll go with Dameon Pierce for the sake of today's mock draft. We'll continue with the fantasy hype currently and the community. Although I've been a big fan of Dameon Pierce all off season long, he's just had such a clear route to becoming an RB1. All right, so we'll see how things shake out here. We're taking a little bit of a risk. We are absolutely loaded up at running back and receiver. DeAndre Hopkins off the board is a really nice selection right there. Another player that I wouldn't mind considering over Devonta Smith, just for that nice consistency, nice upside down the stretch when he is back from that 6-game suspension. Drake London's gone. Christian Kirk is gone. TJ Hawkinson is off of the board. We have one more selection here in the 10th round. I'm feeling pretty good about this team. The advantage we have here is we can take two quarterbacks and still have a ton of valuable depth on this team. We could take two tight ends if we wanted to as well, or we could do one or the other. So even though we're selecting later round quarterbacks or tight ends, we can still secure some nice upside with the fact that we can select two at each position. All right, so I'm saying that Dallas Goedert's my top target at 87 overall. And then after that, I'm going to select my quarterback, who more than likely is going to be Joey B, and then we'll move on from there. All right, so let's take Goddard off the board here, like we said, and I'll go with Burrow at 90 overall, as long as he's available, and he is. So we'll take Burrow right there. And a dream come true would be Trey Lance and AJ Dillon falling out to 103 and 106. That would leave us with a pretty solid looking roster, in my opinion. So Henry, Barkley, Etienne, Jacobs, and Pierce at running back is beautiful. Devontae Adams, Mike Evans, Mike Williams, Gabe Davis, and Devonta Smith is great, but I almost prefer one more receiver here. It's hard to say, but Trey Lance is off the board. I mean, I'm still perfectly happy with Joe Burrow as my QB1. I'm not saying you need to select a second quarterback if you have Joe Burrow on your roster. He is a perfectly fine QB1, but just having Trey Lance would be a little bit of fun. So let's go AJ Dillon here, and then let's just go with the best available receiver. There's a lot of names that you could go with, right? Jacoby Myers, there's an argument in full PPR. Sky Moore and Tyler Boyd, as well as Jon Dawson and Treylon Burks are kind of the players that I like, but I also like George Pickens. Let's go with some fantasy hype train, right? Let's take George Pickens off the board as our final receiver, but a lot of good names there. And then to finish things out, we'll just select the best available kicker and defense and put this mock draft in the books. I think this is the perfect example of holding off at quarterback and tight end in an 8-team draft and still selecting a very good roster overall. All right, so let's see here. Looking at defenses, I mean, the positional advantage right now is at kicker. Let's take Justin Tucker off the board. There's always going to be a defense to stream. I mean, the Cowboys get selected there. They have a very favorable schedule and are coming off a #1 year in fantasy in terms of the defensive team position. So, I mean, they're going to regress, but I still really like them due to their schedule, right? But we'll take the Colts at the end of the day. I think they're going to have a great year, and that'll put this mock draft in the books. I kind of had in mind a half PPR style format for this draft, which for me personally, in the first couple rounds, isn't too different from a full PPR style mock. Today's video request was for a half PPR mock, but they don't necessarily have those through the ESPN app. So overall, we'll take a look at this team. I think it's a beautiful team, man. Derrick Henry, Saquon Barkley, ETN, Josh Jacobs, Damian Pierce, and AJ Dillon at running back is just ridiculous. Devontae Adams, Mike Evans, Mike Williams, Gabe Davis, Devonta Smith, and George Pickens at receiver. I absolutely love the receiving room. Burrow's our quarterback, Goddard's our tight end. We were able to hold off quite a while, and in my opinion, still secure a great QB1 and a great tight end 1. We get Justin Tucker at the kicker position and the Colts defense. An absolutely phenomenal squad, in my humble opinion. So if you guys did enjoy the video today, be sure to hit that like button on the way out. Hit that subscribe button if you're new to the channel. We put out free daily fantasy football content. Let me know in the comment section down below what you guys thought of today's draft overall, as well as any questions, comments, concerns pertaining to the 2022 fantasy football season. And with that, I'll say thank you guys so much for watching and or listening. And remember, you guys saw it here on The Catch.